This is my second magic mind of the morning. It's pretty rare that I love magic mind. It always makes me feel alive and focused and keeps me healthy. And this morning I finished my first magic mind and I'm like, it's not enough. So I'm down on the dock. I'm about ready to do yoga. I don't even have the energy to go out for a paddleboard, which is so rare because I love paddleboarding. And so I'm tired. And I'm grateful that I have such a healthy product to keep me going. But as we go into this podcast with Maria, I'm not feeling like making love to life, which is what the podcast is about. And it's a good checkpoint for me. Why is it that I'm so tired? Well, I have this thing where my exuberance to do what I love, PSIs, VIP weekends, my commitment to my clients, and an old pattern of just hypervigilant go, so I don't have to slow down and feel that pattern still, even though I'm so much better, still gets the best of me sometimes. And I haven't had a day off in 10 or 11 days. And so thank you, Magic Mind, that you're keeping me going today, because I have several calls all the way into the evening. And I'm still doing my physical yoga. I've got my trainer in about an hour and a half as well, so still taking care of myself. But I don't like the feeling of running on empty. I love the feeling of when I'm coming from wholeness and replenishment and nurturing, and I make love to life as this delicious woman, Maria, does. So as you go into this, you're going to hear a wonderful conversation about what works, the deliciousness of our femininity and sensuality and sexuality. And it's beginning with some vulnerability that I still need to be more rigorous, more loving, healthier boundaries, and take a friggin' day off, Allana. I did 2 PSIs in a row. And so what I have committed to is that every single Sunday until the end of the year is blocked off. I'm even going to get those like autoresponder things for my WhatsApp and my texts and all the rest of it. So a little extra support for me to have boundaries, and to nourish myself. And that I've worked this hard to heal my hypervigilance. It's time to fucking enjoy it. It's time to truly nourish myself and have not just these fleeting moments, but a lifestyle of making love to life. So enjoy this incredible podcast with Maria. P.S. So if you want to try Magic Mind, I just remembered, they are so generous. They gave us a code. I believe it's magicmind.com/intimate conversations. The code's in the show notes. Grab it because it's going to give you 20% off a subscription or even a one-time purchase. So give it a try because it certainly supported me year after year. Enjoy the podcast. Welcome to Intimate Conversations. Become the one. Intimacy is an inside job. Hello, delicious people. Welcome to another episode of Intimate Conversations with one of my favorite delicious women from the other side of the planet, the amazing Maria Gratterall. She is a beloved client, sister, colleague, and I want to tell you a little bit about her, and then we're going to get away to the races talking about making love with life. Just looking at this woman, don't you just want to make love to her? Because she's so gorgeous. We're talking about how to stop diminishing our sacred sexual mojo and how this really ripples into all areas of our confidence, our self-worth, and our vitality, and also this vortex that we have to attract with seeming ease that which is in alignment to our highest ascension. So let me tell you about this beautiful creature. She is an international women's rights activist and consultant. She was born and raised in Venezuela, and she has spent the last 25 years figuring out how to help women and girls experience multiple forms, who've been experiencing multiple forms of discrimination, and to break those cycles and thrive through a human rights lens. And she's expanding her heart and lived experiences raising twin teenage girls. They are amazing. As a single mom in Sydney, Australia. And currently she is exploring how to bring her passion for arts, expression, and different languages into everything she does. And before we start, sweetheart, we just had this experience together in Australia, and to be in your presence and to go through the beautiful journey that we went through and to watch in such a short period of time your already amazingness. It's like you've got deeper roots and higher shoots. You're more grounded and more alive, and there's an ease and a flow to your expression that I've never witnessed before. So I want to share more about your point of view about this, but thank you so much for having this delicious conversation with me today.
Thank you, Allana. It's an honor to, I think, we choose the people to expand with, and you've been both somebody to walk besides and guide at the same time, and it's beautiful and inspiring. So thank you, Allana.
Thank you. And one day I want to be as much of a fashionista as you. I want to grow up to be as like. So I need to tell all of you before we get started. We'll go back to the beginning in a moment. But on my way to Australia, my 35-hour journey turned into 2.5 days, and they lost my luggage. And this gorgeous goddess said, "Oh, I'm just going to pick you up a few things just to tie you over." And those were choices, fashion choices that I never would have had the courage to choose. And I have had so many comments, and you've awakened a sass and a sexiness in me already. So thank you so much for that. Yeah. Let's begin with how you even found me, and remind me, how did you even know that I existed and reached out to me?
I think it was actually it's the beginning of the story in many ways. So I'm a super resilient person, and I
Yes.
think you helped bring that back to me, that resilience. But during the pandemic, the beginning of the pandemic was probably my dark night of the soul, as they call it. I was going through a lot of changes in my life, and I was feeling grief and despair, which I don't think I had ever felt. I think I was breaking up with my husband after 20 years.
Yeah.
I had moved from New York after building a life, was experiencing perimenopause symptoms and what that, and the planet was going through what it was going through because of COVID. And I just experienced grief and flatness like I hadn't, like I thought, is this it? Like all what we've been told about growing older and all those stereotypes, like, am I going to disappear in the back of the room, which, as you know, for me would have been punishment. Like I was like, after building all this life, is this it? And I didn't see it coming, and it's all going to disappear, and I'm going to become a has-been, like, what is my footprint in the world? I didn't make it. And, so I started following your podcasts as I was following many others, but there was something about you that kept on pulling me in, because I do love watching a lot of advice on sensuality and partnership, because I think even in the search for equality for women, when we fall in love, it's when we stop questioning, right? And I think even the greatest women in history, it's in romance that everything comes up, and we don't know how to challenge that equality anymore, right? Because we can be Simone de Beauvoir, we can be Frida Kahlo, we can be, and I think that's what history tells us. Like I think our intimate selves are so important, fragile, important to nourish, and our hearts and our souls can go a long way. So I think I was really exploring that. And what I really loved, Allana, has always how vulnerable you are about when you stumble. And in those moments of actually quite big challenges, I really paused and really admired. And I felt, and I think I watched this amazing interview with another client who's a brother in this, Sean. Sean said that he kept on watching, going, what she's going through, I'm probably going to go through next. And
Yeah,
that's how it started to feel to me. And I did try to reach out, but it wasn't you had more people, more coaches, so it wasn't really directly with you, and it just
right.
didn't feel right. And I think when I did end up reaching out, we were able to meet directly, and that made a big difference to me.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. And I love our brother Sean. Uh, and I also love the timing, to trust the timing of things. When we first met one-on-one and we began working together, you had gone through a lot. It wasn't just a divorce. There was a lot of trauma. Um, and I think for us, very successful women, driven women, we can operate on top of the trauma, spinning a million miles an hour, still creating results pretty easily. What was it about as we began to work together? Because you didn't even join the group necessarily right away. We just started with private sessions right away. And I was amazed how you were able, we grew the capacity over time to stay in the body and feel and not get out and talk about it. Stay in the body and feel. And you had very quickly, in my opinion, quite a lot of awareness around, oh, I'm not in the left side of my body. Oh, that's my feminine. Oh, she doesn't want to be here. Like you very quickly picked up on body awareness, energies that mirrored on the inside what was going on the outside of your life. Share, if you would, what it was like to begin coaching with me compared to others. I'm sure you've worked with other people, and this new body awareness.
Actually, no, it's the first time I work with a coach.
Oh,
I,
really? Oh,
yes,
I'm
yes,
so flattered.
yes,
Seriously?
yes.
Oh, okay, amazing. Thank you.
It's more I had used psychological support. I lived in
Got
New
it.
York. We all need a psychologist.
Okay, okay. Understood.
And it's what we do in New York
Okay.
City. And I felt I love cognitive behavioral things anyway. And I think even in the work I do in social change, I think how we speak is how we program our brains.
Yeah,
So I'm really an advocate for change.
yeah,
Um, I think what I'm still, I mean, there's so many, like you say, levels of trauma. I think what I want to acknowledge for people that may be watching is um, for those of us that our countries are no longer options to return to,
yeah,
there's always that, that safety of home,
yeah,
um, as a metaphor and as a reality start. It's a huge existential um, anxiety that goes through cycles. And right now with the situation in Venezuela, it flares up, right? Like this is
yeah,
the thing with our lived experience. We understand it at different points. I didn't love the idea of a group sharing.
yeah,
Um, I thought it took away from the individual. Um, but the more I do this and the more I do, exchange facilitation and group facilitation,
yeah.
I think there's fields of energy that affect all of us and our consciousness. And it's really when you do conscious leadership, conscious facilitation, conscious
Mm,
talking, it really changes a whole field of embrace. And
mm,
I think those fields of embrace post-COVID are really important to me because
mm,
um, I think again, I think that the beauty of feeling that despair, which I had never felt that level of despair. And I
yeah,
would say it was borderline depression because there's a flatness to grief as well. Um, has really made me understand the mental health crisis that everybody's talking about, that I
yeah,
don't think it's so much. And dating men in my 50s, there's a sadness, right? There's a
mm,
grief to deal with. There's a lot of people struggling with mental health, and I'm deeply compassionate to that. But I
mm,
think it's a spirit issue. It's not a mental issue. Yeah.
mm, Thank you. I'm so glad. I used to just do only private coaching. I get more results when I add private and group. I get even more results when I add private, group, and the PSI that we did. I get even more results when I add private, group, PSI, and a retreat once a year. So over 20, 25 years, I've learned all these components that create the soup of the greatest inward connection, outward connection, the collective genius that arises, all of it. So I'm so glad you're a part of the group and such a contribution to the group. Go back, if you would, as we began our sessions, and you started to realize, oh, as much as I can understand in this cognitive behavioral therapy about it, there's a whole other subconscious world suppressed inside of me that as I honor my body, as I listen to my body, as I listen to little you, as I listen to my feminine, as I listen to my vagina, as I listen to my heart, as I connect in, it'll bring me home. My body's not the problem. My emotions aren't the problem. I don't need to get rid of them. I actually need to go towards them and integrate. And I'm actually stronger when I do that. I'm more embodied when I do that. I don't need to operate on top of them or get rid of them. They're becoming the fabric of my soul. What's happened for you with your relationship with your embodiment?
Well, I think that there are layers to this answer, so you'll have to allow me to go through the
Oh,
layer.
we got an hour, girl. We got
Um,
lots of time.
I think I think first of all, I mean, I'm a lawyer. I've done 2 master's degrees. I've lived in 5 countries. I've built and shut down projects. I have leadership, managing staff, managing teams is a huge challenge, being a single mom. I think, I'm really good with precision, right? With the what we call the masculine traits of achieving, of
Yeah.
planning, of doing it. And that started to really be unstable, right? As my emotions, which have always been there. I'm a person who has to constantly consume and reflect on poetry, literature, dance, because I need to process, right? And I'm constantly feeling what I see. Um, However, I think that there is a shift happen in me, and I think in the world, in that again, working with women's rights, I see it. I think where we have achieved a lot of change, right? I think there is a gratitude to what we have achieved, and there's a frustration which what still needs to happen for things to really change. I still think if a mother has to choose who's going to eat tonight because I only have this much food, which one of my kids gets to eat today? People are making really hard choices, and I want to acknowledge that. And it's a privilege not to have to make those choices, but really the majority of the world, as we speak, is making really tough choices about survival. So and it's in survival mode. And for those of us that are not in survival mode, I think constantly thriving to elevate our spirit, right, is really what's going to raise the consciousness. I've always believed that, right? And again, because I grew up in a chaotic environment, like, where to hold your own is a really hard thing. And I've always been able to hold my own, right? And I think it's something I value greatly. But I think what was being different than what you've helped me to see is that sometimes the way to do whatever it takes to overcome is to say thank you to the shit that happens. Yeah. And that is hard. That is hard because, the way my brain was going is, why did this happen to me? That was wrong. This was right. And to let go of the wrongness, to listen to our bodies and to say, gosh, yes, thank you. That was bad. But thank you. I heard. And to be able to process the depth of emotion and to come back sooner and sooner, because the more you process, the quicker it is to come around, is a beautiful integrated way to bring back pieces of myself that were fragmented along the way.
Yeah.
And I feel right now like I did, and like my children feel right now at 14, 15, when anything is possible.
Yeah.
In romance, in world, in money, because everything really, I'm kind of starting from scratch. But to feel that anything is possible after despair with a little bit of hope is an amazing, beautiful thing.
It is. It is. I remember when we first started, there were three patriarchal deaths that happened. And you spent time with your mom. There was the integration of your ex-partner's like new partner, and where am I going to fit into this? There's so much we're talking about making love with life and our sacred sexual mojo, a lot of things that you were not feeling sexy. You were not feeling like you were making love with the universe. Why did this happen? This is not the plan, etc. How did, yes, being grateful for the difficult times, but the actual somatic, I was asking you to feel things. They're like, no, I want to go this way. I'm like, yeah, but we got to go that way. Yeah, but I want to go forward. I'm like, yeah, but we got to go into the body, right? So what were you shocked by as we felt through shame, horror, sadness, devastation? Like we felt through a lot of stuff, anger, a lot of these things. And then on the other side, presence, sass, healthy boundaries. People are saying you're softer but stronger. Like these are the results. So tell us a bit about a new point of view of like, wow, I never knew my emotions and my body were the pathway home into my receptivity, my softness, my potency, my aliveness, singing musical tunes in the kitchen with your daughters. Like, yeah.
That's a great question, Alana. I think my body has always been loud and clear.
Mm.
Uh, if I think the moment things broke with my ex-husband, like I had a sciatic nerve recurrent pain for like 2 years. I had
Mm.
thyroid cancer in my 30s. I had you know, not major issues, but moments of pause, right? Like where your body says you have to rest. You know,
Yeah.
you have to sort of stop everything. You're
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
to. So I was used to kind of letting my body, which is it's been part of our learning through to exhaustion for the softness to arise. So
Yes.
the stronger side, drive itself to and what we call the divine masculine side in me to drive me to exhaustion so that the softness, the vulnerabilities, the wisdom to really match that, right? Because
Yeah.
they're always there, but sometimes we overpower one just to charge through, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, in going through law school, anybody who's gone through law school knows this, right? The moments where you just go beyond tired, go beyond,
Mm.
and it's part of what we train ourselves to be. And also seeing so much hard work in the women's movement where I work, which is more of a global South movement, and to see many of the women I admired die at 50 from breast cancer or
Mm.
die from you know, I really started realizing that if trauma is not addressed, no matter
Yes.
how strong, no matter how beautiful, no matter how uplifting, it will catch up. And I
Yep.
have
Yep. Thank
teenage
you.
girls. And I think talking to you one day, it, something you said, and it's still to me what I remind myself when there's a scary emotion or a scary thing to do whatever it takes, is that you're passing it on. You're passing it on. Are you
Mm.
breaking cycles on behalf of the people you love, or are you passing it on?
Yep.
And I think that is really empowering to me to
Mm.
say, have to try to not pass this on,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Let's go there for a little bit. What have been the changes that you've seen in your daughters? How are you being different with your daughters since we've been doing this work?
Gosh, that's huge because you know, again, they were going, it's huge because they were going through themselves, going through, you know, puberty and changes the last year, and they didn't always like themselves. And now they're
Mm.
teens,
Mm.
and we're in complete harmony with the teen selves. They are like one of my daughters over coffee. Like I took her for she had a hot tea and I had my coffee Monday, and she said, Mom, I feel that the only place I'm really accepted is in the home with you and my sister, right? It's where I can
Holy
be
shit, you never told me
myself.
this.
Yeah. And she's like, there is something, I'm not the same person at school. I'm almost the same person. I'm not the same person when I'm with the other relatives. I'm almost the same person. But where I'm truly myself, because I told her, are you this funny with everybody? Because I think you're really funny. And I think that was a beautiful moment. And I think to give them that acceptance. And now when they push back, as teenagers do, or they're grumpy, I say, okay, sweetheart, that will keep you safe in the world. I think that was unnecessary with me today, but that will keep you safe in the world. So I'll take it. I'll take that pushback. And then they laugh, right? They're like, oh, thank you. And I think there's been beautiful moments. Something that's starting to worry me that I see is that they are really protecting me at the moment. Like they are, if they think I'm tired, they really come and, like, and suddenly they're seeing me more fragile. And I think this is beautiful, but this is new, right? Where they themselves are starting to track how I'm feeling, right? And,
Wow.
and the care I'm needing in the house, right? And nobody's doing their chores. That's not happening. Alana, we need to work on
I need to work
that.
on that.
But I think there's a beautiful acceptance about the lack of self acceptance that's embedded in being a teenage girl these days.
Wow. Okay. To be acknowledged. Okay. So just to give context, that's not what they were saying to you when we first started working together, that this is the safest place, right? Not at all. And second, for them to be able to track you, you have to be authentic. But if you just shove it away and keep pushing, they don't know you're hurting. They don't know you need anything. So bravo for you being more vulnerable and letting them in. And that just because you might need rest or support doesn't mean you're broken or weak. It's called being human. So that gives them permission to be human and we don't let everybody into our inner circle, but those that have earned the right to be close to us that way. Like, I think this is gorgeous. It's that beautiful figurative gift giving and receiving. So they can give to you, you can give to them because they're becoming women. And this trusting their intuition that mom says she's fine, but she's not, fucks with them, right? But when mom says, I'm tired, I'm scared, I'm hurting, then that gives them, oh, my intuition's correct. My instincts are accurate. That allows them to know what they know. I love this. I'm so glad we haven't even talked about this yet. I'm so pleased. Thank you for making it safe to be real in your home. Oh my God, like you're creating that. Well done.
And and it ripples because I think they talk about how their friends see me. And again, sometimes I have the kids come over for a, and again, but I've always been that. I've always loved kids. But I think teenagers, the other thing I've learned, and I think there's Lisa, I forget her surname, but she's an amazing psychologist, and she talks about the emotional life of teens.
Mm.
And is that, and I think it's the same for us as grown-ups. And I saw this with them as toddlers too, which is the most challenging times, is that there's two sides to appeal to. The side having the tantrum, or the wise, pre-existing 200-year-old soul that's there.
Mm.
And I think I've also learned to appeal to that side, which is what I'm really interested in. Like, the current play out of a current situation in real time, I don't care so much.
Mm.
But again, I don't take for granted that I'm going to be here 30 more years. So I want to
Mm.
make the lessons in real time.
And make them count. Yeah. Thank you. I want to go to the shifts that have occurred, even dealing with your daughter's father, when you were more reactionary or not integrating the pain you'd gone through or the unfairness or what have you, and all the integration work that we've done together, you have I don't want to lead the witness to to the lawyer, but I want you to share how the last conversation with him was different, and it's paving a way of a future that I assert wasn't there before. With the work that you've done, you're markedly different in your interactions with him, especially since our PSI.
Yes. I think there's been a shift also because I am aware of the fact that parenting teenagers is very different, right? So we're having to rework our parenting agreement more towards teenage and adulthood, and it
Yeah,
used to be a parenting agreement that was more like for children in primary school. So
yeah,
um, it's been a how do we shift the vision? And something we did even from the brink of disaster is I remember the first thing I did for the family as we were going through the really worst time was to hire a studio in New York so that we could all do a vision board of how we could still be a family even though it was fragmenting and hurting.
yeah.
And so I'm really a believer in holding to a vision, but I think what the last session helped me is hold a vision that's bigger than me and him and the girls, right? It's hold the bar of energy a little bit higher so that the communication can be filtered through the heart, really. Like it's more like, how do you filter what you want to say through some softness and compassion, right? Not as a strategy because I want to get this and this is where what I want to say my piece. So um we started with how has it been for you to see the girls change into, high school? And I'll tell you how it's been for me. And it was a really beautiful moment. I think now we have a stepmother to bring into, the constellation of our family. And I think that changes too, and that acknowledgement of how I've contributed to making that an easy, acceptance of a bigger thing. And again, something that happened after that is that the girls celebrated the birthday of the stepmother's son and came back saying, we had a great time in our stepbrother's birthday. So, like they're becoming a family in a really beautiful whole way. And I think I don't want to challenge that or obstruct it. I think where we're at is more teenagers will do what teenagers do, and how do we support them? And also, if one day they don't want to come back to me or they don't want to go back to their father because they're angry, how do we let them do that, right? Without
Mm.
being harsh to each other's parenting. So I think it was a beautiful conversation. It took a lot of preparation. It took a lot of putting my righteousness aside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And how has the work we've done integrated whatever reactions were there or triggers were there or the past so that you could put aside your righteousness and actually be authentically curious about how it was for him rather than attached to the result and in fear? Like, how did the work we do actually allow you to be that? Because it was extraordinary.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't
Well,
know.
the work works.
Um,
That's just how that works.
I think it's been I really committed to doing the work. First of
Yeah.
all, I think part of the work is being committed to just doing again what it takes to go deep into ourselves and to integrate and integrating trauma. Um, when we're all traumatized, we're all
Mhm.
traumatized. Um, is a beautiful process. I do it as an offering to myself, but also the collective. I'm very interested in collective change and
Mhm.
um, healing at a bigger level rather than continuing to maximize and amplify our wounds. How
Yeah.
beautiful is to amplify the uplifting part of ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And I think just being inspiring is not enough. Like the quotes, the Instagram. I think it has to come from a deeper place. And I think self-care to an excessive amount doesn't do it either. So I think it's also a reflection on just committing to one way of doing things and going deep, right? And going
Mm,
as far as it takes. I think that's been what I've learned the most, rather than doing multiple things. I mean, you're the only coach I work with right now,
mm,
and just go really deep into the process and trust you and
mm,
trusting you. I think trusting myself and trusting you
mm,
is the sauce.
mm. Thank you. Thank you for giving me your trust. And for me, I trust you and I trust the divine. And I trust that I know what I know when I'm in contribution to you, which means I'm in contribution to the girls and the family and the stepmom and the stepson and the collective. Like it all comes through. I'm so inspired that you're willing to process and integrate all of this and welcome this larger family. It's so inspiring to me. So inspiring to me. Um,
Well, it's because I want to be a really eccentric and alive and vivacious old woman.
yes, yes.
I want to shock everybody in the retirement community.
Fuck yeah. Okay, so slightly changing gears. You're so delicious. I wanted to give the viewers and the listeners just a sense of your nobility, your integrity, your heart, your commitment, your depth, your willingness to, as you said, like dive deep and do the work. And as we like roots and shoots, right? So as we do this deeper work, what comes alive, and forgive me if I'm paraphrasing, but I think I got this one right. The last thing out of your mouth on your psychedelic somatic integration journey when I saw you in Australia was, and I have $1 million pussy. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
So,
And
so
it's
share the sacredness and the deliciousness of what it's like to do all this hard work, forgiveness of the unforgivable, feeling the unfeelable, but we did it. And you came all the way home into the sacredness of your femininity. And I mean, you see atrocities on this planet with women's work, but you're still willing to embrace your sacred sexuality, your beauty, your vivaciousness, your sacred yoni, your making love to life. Like, share how this has woken up, awakened even more of your deliciousness.
well, I think I'm also I really am concerned about the number of women 50 and above that are amazing single and just saying, I don't need I'm
Partner.
giving up on even a partnership, romantic attack. I mean, I think we're buying into a lot of stunted ideas of what our hearts can fall in love with, even ourselves. Like we are limiting the potential and
Mm,
limiting the potential of uh, the creativity that comes from sexual energy. I think
thank
like we
you.
can't I mean, and I'm really proud of things like, like the contestation of traditional porn with feminist porn. I mean, I think that erotica is more I mean, I think great, let's live our fantasies, but I think we are buying fantasies or buying experiences in our bodies and pleasure without really understanding how to become alive
Mm,
in the most beautiful sense. And I think aliveness is the root of our bodies and our sexuality, right? And I think passion. I mean, I'm a Latina. And I think after that, which was a really intense process, to feel new, to feel younger, to feel that
mm,
Esther Perel says that aliveness and eros has no like age in the clock. It's something that's eternal. It's
yes.
something and to meet people where they're at. They may need some adaptations, but that doesn't mean um we give up. We give up any part of ourselves. I mean, I
Yeah.
really think it's about that. It's how can we soar above if we are in a constant fight with ourselves. I
Mm,
just really, again, that was what the experience of grief was like for me, to say, I've never been in battle with myself this deep.
mm,
And the freedom is the opposite of that. It's just like,
yes.
you know what, flawed, grumpy. I'm okay.
Yeah. You're glorious. You're glorious. What has okay, so two things. One, how's the caliber of men you've been dating, attracting, hanging out with shifted in this journey that we've been on thus far? And how have you felt about your own worthiness, your own beauty, your own vivaciousness, your own sensuality on this as well? How's this trajectory shifting for you?
Oh, well, first of all, I think the trajectory was learning and experimenting the dating apps, which is everybody should try. I think I think I've met, I don't want to judge the people I've met. I don't think it's about that saying good
No.
or bad. I think it's the people I'm attracting are better and better.
Yeah.
I think I've met a really wonderful man recently, and it's more the figure eight. It's the meeting point. Is he, or have any of them really seen me? And I think if somebody doesn't see you, um, as much as you may have a big heart and feelings for the person, there's no point convincing them,
Yeah.
right? And I think it's just people have to be willing to do the work. People have to be willing to grow together. People have to find the meeting points, because it might be the most wonderful match ever, but if there's not a meeting point, you can't cross the bridge between my soul and your soul, right? And it's that. I think it's more where I'm at. I feel I'm just not really strategizing, talking, this is the plan, this is what we're doing. It's more feeling things through and being compassionate with myself. Um, being able to test what I may or may not be attracted to anymore. Because I think at the beginning I was attracted to men that were similar to men I had been attracted to in the past, right?
Yeah.
And I think it also is a way to protect ourselves and say, oh, well, men are all the same, so I'm going to stay single. Why do I want to meet? And I've met really beautiful men that are sad. I think the issue with sadness and mature men is something I've seen, and I would love to not address it as a mental health issue, but I think it's an issue of how are we buying what society is telling us about being mature men and women and how to
Mm,
relate to each other.
mm,
Um, because even when I see friends and couples in loving married relationships, and I see my friend mistreat her husband or her husband mistreat my friend, it hurts me now. It used to be like that's their relationship. I will not be involved. I feel it in my soul now. I think what I would like to see as an older feminist, as a women's rights advocate, is uh, holding each other dear, holding each other dear, and
mm,
respecting and honoring each other. Yeah.
mm. God, I just want to jump through Zoom and hug you. Um, the more I watch you hold all your parts dear, your little you or your 15-year-old that we met a lot in your PSI journey, and you're growing into your sexy crone over time, and us going through our menopause and all the rest of it. When I see you hold you dear, you become more soft with yourself, but also strong to hold yourself, more grounded, more empathic, and more able when you speak of your friends and you speak of your the father of your children, you speak of your children, you get feedback from your other friends. It's like across the board, people feel you more, you're feeling them more. And that to me is an energy that we could just sit here and be a vibration and actually shift the planet. Like that permeates consciousness, if you ask me. So I'm so grateful that you're doing this work that is real, and we're all quantum entangled. I feel you're impacting your entire community just by your own beingness. That's number one. Number two, I love that you speak of women in our age. I'm 54, who a lot are choosing to be single because it is work to be in relationship. But to me, it's the cutting edge of our conscious evolution to be in relationship. Yeah, it's not a walk in the park. That's the point. The point is to meet your shadows and meet your subconscious, and not to judge, and hold each other dear, and be a stand for each other's conscious evolution, and be brave, and be vulnerable, and be messy, and be magnificent, and be $1,000,000 pussy juicy, and show up, and never settle or give up on this communion that's possible. To me, it's like making love with life is making love with my partner. Like, I don't want to just compartmentalize it. I want this aliveness to be there all the time. So would you speak as in terms of your juiciness, in terms of your aliveness, in terms of your vitality, not just sexuality, but yeah, like sensuality, vitality? Are you taking more risks? Are you speaking up more? Are you letting things go? Like, how is the freedom of you being in your body? How is that shifting?
Well, I think this is also around the time I started working with you. I made a choice that because of, again, the isolation of I mean, Australia was, we couldn't go beyond 5 kilometers for an extended period of time.
Jeez.
And I couldn't see a lot of people I love
Yeah.
for about 5 years.
Well,
And I've decided to just show up for people, or people
mm,
even that I'm getting to know, that I think I love, and
mm,
people that I've already known and I know I love. But I think it's just show up, like when you have a friend and you miss, I don't know, an event. Sometimes I've still had to miss. I just missed a friend's 60th because I decided to go to Malaysia to visit my old mentor who's just in a retirement home and was
yeah.
struggling. So I just wanted to, and all I did was show up. And I think it goes to something we talked about in a separate private conversation, which is, I think the ability to show up for me has become, and again, this is important as an advocate, again, it's a collective decision in myself that is having ripples, is the ability to be witness, just to be next to somebody, to witness,
Yes.
to say thank you, that
Yeah.
your truth, I may not agree, but thank you for showing me your own magnificence, and I can show you mine.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to fix you. I'm not here I mean, and to fix your problems. Maybe I can't, but that
Mhm.
ability to really hold space without being, I'm greater than you, I'm more knowledgeable, or to say, I've worked it up, I'm here, I'm here to give you my solutions, but more like, my, and I, I'm great, but I'm also struggling the most right now. I have 1,000 problems to solve in my personal life, right? But acknowledging that and saying, where are you at today? And let's spend time today, and
Mm,
uninterrupted quality time today,
mm,
in a really gracious feeding part. And what I'm getting after doing the work with you and making all these decisions, which were small decisions at a time,
yes.
like I started thinking in the last, what used to be like a message from a friend, because I do check in on my friends. I am that person that if somebody is starting something new, or going through something, I do check in. So I wrote to a friend in Israel, right? And she's struggling because of the war zone. She has small kids. She's a
Mm,
very sensitive woman. So and she said, thank you just for checking in. All I say is, how are you? Look, here's a song, here's a point. I don't say, how are you feeling? Because I know she's struggling. And she
yeah.
said, I really feel your care. Like I really love that you care, but I
Yeah.
don't care anymore in a pushy way, not in a way where people push back. And the same thing with another friend that just came back and was struggling with mental health. She said, I've been your friend 20 years, but I really appreciate how over time you really show your care in a way that's not overpowering or
Mm,
opinion,
mm.
or Maria's here to fix you.
This is so yummy. That you are making love to life. I mean, when we give love, we give tenderness, we give care without attachment. We invite another to be exactly who they are without needing to change. Like, this is like the most delicious gift to give people. Clearly you're giving it to your daughters. Clearly you're giving it to their father. And so in so doing, you're giving it to his new partner. That's huge. It's so massively courageous and generous to be able to want what's best for your partner's new wife. Wow, wow. And to have your friends acknowledge you for this level of care. To me, this is your juiciness and femininity and wholeness, where you don't need another to be a certain way to be okay. Like there's more and more wholeness that's showing up. And I think we were, I like how we like to leave love notes to each other, because you're in Australia and you go to sleep and I wake up, and I go to sleep, you wake up. So we can wake up to love notes all the time. But this idea that we choose partnership, we choose this epic, intimate relationship while simultaneously feeling like they're already here, feeling whole, feeling like we choose it, but don't need it, feeling like we're making love to life. Like I've never felt more delicious. And it's such an honor to walk with you, play with you, support you, be there, because I watch you becoming more and more vibrant and alive and unattached. Like the more you're unattached, the more it seems to come to you. So what would you say to any it could be men, but certainly women who are watching this, and you're successful and you're human and you're strong and you're soft? What would you say to them about the work that we do? Private, group, you're coming to the retreat for the first time, you've done a PSI. What would you say to them about this work?
I think it's really necessary. I mean, it's so easy. I mean, there's 1,000 causes and reasons to invest in the planet in multiple ways, right? Like
Yeah.
social issues, environmental issues. But I think, again, and this is what I think it's what I see as people I've met in history that have been amazing and role models, from politicians to amazing activists and artists. I think people own their shadows, right? But I think healing the shadows is something that is available to us at this moment in history, which maybe we didn't have. There is a lot of mixed in woo-woo-ness around the self-care. But I think we do have tools, and I think you in particular have tools that are not available to everybody. And I think it's the knowing that I have to invest in myself and going into that darkness with a good person to guide me. But it doesn't fix everything. There's so much more to do. But I think that's the kind of healing that's needed outside.
Mm.
And I think our intimate relationships are really what's going to clear a lot of the trauma that we experience when somebody has road rage, and pisses us off in traffic, and that person in the supermarket was extremely aggressive, but also the suffering around us. I mean, some of us are sensitive to what we see in a city. That's why I resist more and more. I'm willing to leave a city, but I love cities because you can't really cut off the suffering of the others. There's inequality when you're in a big city. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I like to live like that, to know that to give, you also have to look into yourself to really give properly and to match others and uplifting. So I think it's intimate relationships are transformative in a
Yeah.
deep way. I think it's so easy to think that I've done all the work that, like, for example, right now I would say I'm amazing. I'm going to stay alone forever because I'm amazing, right? No, it's the moment you meet somebody, you're like, oh, I'm not so amazing. I can't communicate. I'm shutting down. I'm abandoning. I'm retreating.
I know, I'm getting totally triggered. I feel like I'm 15. I feel like a dork.
And, and
Yeah.
is it him? No, it's me. But do I want to talk about it? Hell no.
Oh my God, I freaking love this. I love this. I love this. I love that you're like, you've got it all together, and then you have a date, you're like, I'm 15. Like, what am I doing?
Horrible, horrible. Like the
Right?
agony.
It is so good to be so real. It is so good to be so real, and to own our deliciousness, and to own our hot mess, and to own our sacred mojo, and to own our wobbly 15-year-old, all these parts of us, right? And just bring them all into the fold. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Um, so just a little, if there's any gentlemen in, I suppose Australia would be the location of preference, although this woman travels all over the world all the
I can
time.
travel.
Yes, you do. You travel all over. Just wanted to throw that out there that someone of this depth and beauty and consciousness and heart is available. But yeah, as we complete, my love, thank you for going so deep together. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for all the generosity you've shown me. Thank you for inspiring me. Yeah, there's there's a handful of people, and most of them are my clients, where we can be 1,000,000% transparent and be held and loved and witnessed, as you said, and then to be able to turn around and give that gift to the people that we care about. I don't think there's any greater gift than being that person that they feel safe with, being 100% themselves, like your daughter said, like, I'm 100% real with you, mom. Congratulations that you're creating that environment for them. That's changing generations, a generational pattern. So well done. What would be your last, the last thing you'd like to share from your heart to the
That I
viewers and
love you.
listeners?
I love you
Oh,
dearly, Alana.
I love you too. I'm gonna start to cry. Tell me everything. I want to hear it.
I love you. And it's an honor to I mean, I hope, we reach more and more people, because I think
Yeah.
you are powering up and growing in a beautiful way.
Oh, thank you, sister. Thank you. Thank you. I received that. I love you too. Okay, well, as you can see, it's just a love puddle fest around here. It's amazing to create a company and a business where I get to fall in love with my family. You're my family. You'll always be my family. Like, we're gonna be sexy old ladies together. Like, I already know it.
And it's scandalous, scandalous.
Scandalous, delicious old ladies together. You betcha. Um, like, literally, when she got me some clothes when I lost my luggage, she's like, "This one will get you laid. This shirt." Like, we laugh. We have a good time. Thank you. And so, any of you viewers or listeners who are like, "Wow, I really appreciate the safety, the banter, the vulnerability, the commitment." That you're sensing in this relationship with this beautiful woman, as I get to, it's a job, but it's not a job. It's my soul's purpose. It's the greatest honor and privilege to go into the shadows, knowing full well we're going to get to the light, and you're going to be even more embodied as the glory that you are. I'm so grateful, so grateful. So reach out if this is a fit. If you'd like to explore more, as Maria said, connect one-on-one with me, it would be an honor. And I get to see you in March in Mexico, and I'm sure I'll be back to Australia again. And so until next time I get to hug you in person, I love you too, Maria. And thank you all for being with us on Intimate Conversations, and for the honor of, eavesdropping into this delicious, vulnerable conversation about making love with life. All my love. See you next week on Intimate Conversations. Get out there and make love to life.
Just finished my morning workout with my assistant. I read an email this morning before I started working out from a client who's coming for his second PSI. And his ex, she left him. It felt shocking. He didn't see it coming, like a betrayal. How could she? And he's been having so much trouble moving on. So much trouble moving on dating. So much trouble forgiving her. Well, then out of the blue, she texted him and apologized. But isn't it curious that he's still having trouble taking it in, even feeling guilty that she apologized? All these different emotions in the way of forgiving others and forgiving ourselves and moving the fuck on. It's so challenging when we've been betrayed to forgive others, forgive self, and move on. It's like we don't have to risk. We don't have to evolve. We don't have to move into the unknown. We don't have to face uncertainty. We don't have to take the lessons of the past. We don't have to do shit. We can just still be a victim of our circumstances and hide on the couch and just watch Netflix. He'll get there. He's come so far. He's not a giver-upper. And this is exactly the next catalyst for our next PSI journey, is this next level. And I'm going to say self-hatred, because guilt, he feels guilty that she apologized, but she's the one that left him. Guilt is self-punishment. Another way of saying, I won't forgive myself. I can't forgive myself. I hate myself. We always get here in coaching. It's so easy to blame others, but really who we're blaming is ourselves. Finishing up with this wonderful podcast with Maria of Venezuela, who lives in Australia. Isn't she just the most delicious creature? We didn't go in our podcast into how she'd been done wrong, but she was done wrong, let me just tell you, multiple times, in multiple ways, from multiple angles, at the same time. We did not go into the carnage that this woman has been through. We focus more on who she is because she's integrated these wounds, because she's forgiven others, because she's forgiven herself, because she, in the face of the intense work she does on the planet, with, as an activist, will she dim her light and not shine because of what's happened in the past to her? Or dim her light and not shine because of what's still happening on this planet? Or will she shine her light, her potency, her unwillingness to give up, her willingness to open her heart and experience the joy of being alive as an inspiration to others and to fuel her dharma, her mission, her purpose? That's what she's up to. So much of her PSI when I was in Australia. We've done tons of private sessions as well. She's a huge contribution to the community. But in our PSI, at the end, just her joy of the sacredness of her sacred, like her sexual energy, her sacred sexual energy, and allowing that to be the catalyst for her radiance and her courage and her surrender and her forgiveness. Yeah. Love this woman. Sending love to her, sending love to my male client who's coming up for his PSI in a couple weeks. This is the path for all of us. Can we, when we've been betrayed, get the lesson, forgive, be stronger, and move on? And can we, when we've betrayed ourselves, that's deeper, forgive ourselves, get the lesson, come home to ourselves, become even more whole, and move on, stronger and better than ever? This is a deep part of the path of intimacy. If this is a place that you're having trouble integrating, I would love to hear from you. I would love to support you, because it's completely possible. I am no different than you. I have had to so much trouble forgiving myself that I just said, I just need mercy. And the universe bestowed it upon me, and things shifted. There's always a way. I love you so much.